Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Altaf, Dr. Fahim Masoodi, and the organizers, the coordinators of the FDP. I extend my warm welcome to all of you, the coordinators and the participants of the FDP, to this session that is on mental health, and specifically it's about stress management. And being more specific, it's about modern ways of managing stress, because stress has now changed its modus operandi. And first and foremost, I would like to give a brief scenario about the context of the talk. Then after, I'll share the presentation, and we'll also undertake some activities which you will love to have in context of learning these strategies and skills. First and foremost, let me tell you this thing, that globally we are in amidst a pandemic, and you all know that the importance of mental health gets extended in this kind of a scenario, where people are suffering from many psychological issues, not just stress management. They are suffering from the isolation. Home isolation is the biggest psychological problem, which gives rise to many clinically significant disorders, and which gives rise to the minor as well as major behavioral adjustment and mental health issues. So it's very imperative to understand the context within which we are living, and the context in which the entire gamut of these functioning is taking place. That is home isolation, working from home, and we are also online. So you are all aware of the fact that you pertain to the field of computer sciences, and which is very very significant field given the present technological advancement and cyber communication systems involved. And you have in fact chosen a very significant topic, that is cyber security, ethical hacking, and crime, which all these three contexts have a very relevance to the psychology, because we understand, as Dr. Altaf already said, that I have done my specialization in online relationships. So we understand that what online relationships can do to us, the positive as well as the negative aspects of it. Then it is also imperative to understand the stress, which is not confined to just people who are having some economic issues, financial issues, relationships. It has engulfed the entire the entire spaces, like the academics, the non-academic, the industrial units, the social context, the community. Everywhere stress is there. So the popular understanding of the word stress, you might be knowing, is, before we will move further, I would like to give you a brief this introduction about I will share the presentation, and you will confirm me please if my screen is shared.
Yes, sir, it's visible now. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll straight away go to the presentation. I hope this is visible to you. If you want me to enlarge it, I can go on the entire screen mode.
Maybe if you can run it in the full screen mode, that will be helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Well, the presentation outlined the topic for this discussion is modern strategies of stress management. Then we will be covering the broader spectrum of areas like psychological, social aspects of human stress response, in addition to the biological. We'll also be discussing about the differences between the adaptive and maladaptive coping strategies. Then we will also talk about the increased resilience to promote productive living and healthy aging. Then we will also talk about the modern strategy that will be the focus of the discussion, techniques of stress management. So starting from the first things, what are the common stress responses, in fact. These are the things which are on the screen. While you understand this, you should come to know that stress is our body's response. It's our psychological reaction to the incoming stressors. Those stressors can be in different types of stressors. So what we actually do, our reaction depends on our psychological state of equilibrium and our upbringing also. So how this stress is manifested, it manifests itself in terms of certain associated diseases. Some are psychological, some are biological. These are all on your screen. You can see diminished immunity, headaches, fatigue, weight gain, dyslipidemia, hypertension, heart disease, psoriasis or asthma. Then digestive problems are associated biological problems, chief biological problems. Then you have also psychological disorders, anxiety, depression, alcoholism, substance abuse, insomnia, irritable bowel syndrome. Then you are fibromyalgia and decreased sex drive. You have anhedonia, etc. These are the manifestations in which stress response manifests itself. Very important to understand the common terminology before we will proceed. We should have a fairer idea of what we are discussing, because at times we do what we are synonymously using the terms, but we are not understanding the specific context within which we have to understand the term stress. Well, stress is a state of disharmony or a threat to the homeostasis. I'll show you a video clip later on with which you will understand that what is homeostasis. It's a biological equilibrium, state of equilibrium in which we tend to change our physiological these hormone, the physiological responses to the stress change our way of living and adaptation. Then physiological changes also increase alertness, focus and energy. Perceived demands may exceed the perceived resources. So this is the context of the stress. Then what is the term which is associated with stress? Is stress and coping. What is coping? Coping in general terms is the ability to maintain control, think rationally, and solve problems. Then there is one more thing that is very significant term, which we call resilience, which I would like to emphasize upon while our discussion is on stress and how do we, defend ourselves from stress. But in fact, we have to understand the more two terms which you will come to know that stress is actually not to be managed, but it's the overwhelming stress which has to be managed, because stress is not negative at all. It's a positive thing in all of us that we call eustress. It's a manageable stress, can lead to growth and enhanced competence. So we understand that stress is not at all negative always, but it is the overwhelming stress which challenges our existence, which challenges us to the extent that we are threatened and we are not able to maintain a balance in our lives, and our lives become entirely devastating. Then there is another term which is associated with this stress is called distress. When we add DI to STRESS, we understand it's a distress. So what is distress? It's uncontrollable, prolonged or overwhelming stress in stress, which is always distress. And this distress is a psychological state of disorder, and it gives rise to many associated disorders, diseases. Then there is acute stress and chronic stress. You know the types of the stress. I will not discuss because you need not academic aspect of the stress. You should understand the proper mechanism to cope up your stress response. So acute and chronic stress is immediate response to a threat or challenge is acute stress, and ongoing exposure to stress may seem unrelenting. So this is the common terminology which we use. You all know that causes of stress can be external causes, family, work, economics, you have school, major life changes, unforeseen events, etc. You have also internal causes, which is worry or rumination, what we call uncertainty, and then there is fear, attitudes, unrealistic expectations, etc. These are the internal causes of stress. Then there is stages of the stress response. I just want to know that whether I'm able to communicate or maybe I'm getting a little fast. You can give me the feedback so that we can continue, please.
No, sir, it is absolutely fine, sir.
Okay, thank you. So we should also understand that the stages of stress response, there are 3 stages as recommended by a very eminent person on stress and coping, that is Hans Seele in 1907. He was born and he died in 1982. He is the significant contributor of the coping mechanisms in stress. So he talks about the stage model of stress response. Whenever we are challenged by any stress response or stressor, whether it be economic problems, the physiological problem, or you witness a tiger in front of you, all of a sudden you get challenged. Giving the example of tiger, witnessing a tiger in front of you, is that it has an importance, why we will discuss the HPA model later on. So keep in mind that I said tiger is something which is a challenging animal, which will challenge you. So it will have a significance later on. Well, alarm is that if somebody witnesses a tiger in front of him or her, the natural response is that we get threatened. Our activation of fight or flight response takes place. Then we will definitely move on to something which we do, that is, we resist that stressor, and that resistance is the mobilization of the resources which we have to solve this problem. What will be the response? If we are able to find the solution of the problem, if we are able to understand that we require this, we are able to cope the problem or solve the problem, we may not be having the third thing, that is exhaustion. But if you are not, in most of the cases, we are not able to solve the problems because problems are so much that we have not set these problems in according to the realistic, these idealistic and realistic idealism. That realistic idealism is that we do not set achievable targets, we set difficult targets for us. That will translate into what we call, we are finally exhausted. We are not able to, after resistance, we are exhausted. And then comes the third stage. As I said, we are exhausted, where adaptation fails and level of function decreases. Then we go on to the mode, there comes the importance of our stress response. What do? In most of the cases, we escape from the problem. By way of physiological escape, we move away from the home. Sometimes we escape in terms of consume some substance which will render us in ecstasy for a while. We go and sleep for extended periods of time. That drugs or any other kind of substance which we consume under the influence of this stress will render us functionless or will render us inactive, unproductive, of course. And that exhaustion is the third stage of stress response. Then activation of hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. I would like to give you a brief this. If you can see on the screen, my screen is visible to you, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please stop and watch this 2-minute clip.
Watch this. One little piece of paper can have a remarkable effect. Stress is stressful, but if you understand a bit about what it is, you'll be better able to deal with it. First, though, take a few deep breaths. In fact, do that anytime you feel stressed. It helps. Stress is a survival mechanism. When danger appears, it can get you out of trouble quickly. Your body crashes up the gears and throws all its resources into getting you moving. Your heart pumps furiously to increase blood pressure. Glucose is sent to the muscles as a fuel injection, and you become totally focused on what psychologists call fight or flight. Thing is, this emergency state is only meant to last just long enough to get you out of danger. But here in the 21st century, we stress about different things, and for much, much longer. Your brain and body stay on red alert, and you'll be less able to think clearly, learn, or remember things. Take a few more deep breaths, because as you now know, stress is a physical reaction, and deep breathing helps to counteract its effects. So, what else can you do? Okay, top tips to reduce stress. First, get plenty of exercise. Let out all that locked up energy. Now, back to the problem. Get in control. Scope out the situation and how you're going to tackle it. Don't stress alone. Talk to someone. Socialize and have a laugh. You can't laugh and quake with fear at the same time. Get down in nature on a big or small scale. And if your mind won't stop worrying, give it something else to do instead.
Okay, we will continue our discussion because sometimes people get bored, and it is very important to give you a different kind of a thing, a feel while we are discussing something, because monotony should be avoided while with any form of discussion. So when I said that this is alarm activation of HPA, that is hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, we understand that there are catecholamines and corticosteroids get secreted. These neurotransmitters get secreted in the bloodstream, and certain things are we just get impacted by. What are the manifestations of these endocrinal change which we witness after getting stressed? Increased cardiac output, dilates airways, dilates pupils, mobilizes glucose, causes vasomotor change, decreased digestion, enhances coagulation. And in terms of corticosteroids, it elevates glucose, increases amino acids, increases Na resorption, and increases extracellular fluid volume, and then inhibits histamine and bradykinin. And then comes the surpasses the immune response. When we say that it surpasses the immune response, we have to understand that this present context, we see that most of the people do not believe that stress has biological aspects. And now research has proved that stress causes a lot of biological things rather than not just only psychological manifestations. So even research in health psychology has indicated that even cancer can be caused by stress, prolonged stress. And in addition to that, we have a multiplicity of diseases which we are witnessing as a result of stress. In fact, we are witnessing the skin problems. We are witnessing the sexual problems. We are witnessing different, all these eyes can be affected by this. So the important thing is that you can see that this brain structure which you see in my hand, this brain structure is actually the most affected region of the brain which gets affected by stress. So it is this response of stress is to be understood in totality before we can understand the strategies, what strategies we can use. Now, resistance has three, these resistance stage of stress response as given by Hansile. It has three different mechanisms. Adaptation. In resistance, adaptation occurs. It activates the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis and continues. The stress may be resolved. The body returns to homeostasis. That is, homeostasis is a mechanism which I will try to explain to you. That is, whenever we are challenged by any circumstances in our environment, our body activates. It's a natural phenomena. We have brain and spinal cord. In brain, we have autonomic and central and autonomic nervous system. In autonomic nervous system, we have sympathetic and parasympathetic divisions. The sympathetic activation activates our body. Our heart rate gets faster. Our body prepares, gets the warmth on our skin, and our body gets prepared to fight this response. And when the problem is over, you are running fight, fright, or flight. In the first phase, you are actually frightened by the strength of the stressor. And then if you are not able to, after frightening, if you are not able to fight, the second part, then you flee. That is third part. That is you flight. You move away from. When you move away from the stressor, ultimately you reach a spot where you will have time to relax. And that relaxation will, the parasympathetic activation of the brain will render your body to a state of equilibrium, and that's called homeostasis. And that homeostasis is arrived at in this exhaustion stage. Then may progress to exhaustion, means stress continues as resources are depleted. then this is important to understand that when stress continues, our resources are depleted. We are not in a position to finally get into a proper coping mechanism. Then comes exhaustion. It occurs when the demands of the stress exceeds the person's ability to adapt. Now, the important thing is that we have to understand that we have to raise our capability, because our capabilities to respond to the stress in a productive manner are limited. So what we do, we expand the horizons of our abilities to counter this stress mechanism, stress response. Then when these in the process of exhaustion, when this exceeds our ability, the stress response demands of the stress exceeds our ability to adapt, we just go for functioning declines. Then it may result in health problems and physical symptoms and mental symptoms. How many of you might be? Can you please confirm how many of you find these physiological responses, physical symptoms, and how many of you find these in the mental symptoms? If you can confirm it, so that we will continue. Physical symptoms may be in the form of fatigue, in the form of exertion on your shoulders feel little weary, or your shoulders seem your shoulders seem like they have got tons of load on it. Can we continue the discussion at the end or in between? Dr. Altaf, please confirm. Can you, any participant?
Actually, so there is a question and answer session at last, but if you wish, you could do it in any time, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, well, physical and mental symptoms can come as a result of this exhaustion. Then comes the signs and symptoms of stress. Stress can be manifested in cognitive, in behavioral, in emotional, in physiological terms. In cognitive terms, it can decrease the concentration, comprehension, and memory. In behavioral terms, it can create irritability, it can create withdrawal, it can create violence in our behavior. Emotional response is fear, anxiety, depression, and fatigue. And then physiological, it's increased BP, heart rate, heart rate, respirations, etc. Then in somatic symptoms can occur, physiological symptoms, I mean to say. Then decreased immune response can be there. That is very important given the context we are living presently due to the pandemic. Immune response are very important. Well, there are two forms, genetics and development, which are involved in the stress entire discussion of stress. Genetics genes control the stress response. Individuals have different response to stress. No two individuals are similar. Well, individual differences account for most of them account for genetics. Then there is a genetic component to fearful behavior, anxiety disorders, neurobiological response. Now, in order to further elaborate it, I will say that some people will say that wo to mard ka bachcha hai, that person is the son of a brave. So that person can find a way to come out of this stressor, this major life change or this devastating incident which has occurred. तो मतलब ये है कि the genes have the positive impact. Genes determine our stress response. Then as a result of development, we call it nature nurture also in some terminology differences there. So nurture or development is life experiences can affect a person's stress response. How? Social support. Social support is protective. I will discuss about the social support in the last part of the discussion. Then early life stress increases stress reactivity as an adult. So this is what our development determines us. Development is part of our child rearing practices, authoritarian parenting style, or we have been permissive parenting style, or different parenting styles are there. Those parenting styles determine that how we raise our children, how you have been raised, that will determine how you will react, whether your resilience is extended resilience. You have the power to defend this multiplicity of stress responses, or multiple stressors coming from the environment or not, how you have been raised up. That is important from the developmental context of this stress. Then let me move on to the second part, that is coping and resilience. Very important part of the discussion, that is, if stress has happened, it has manifested in different forms. Now stress has tried to challenge our very existence, the basis of our existence. Now what to do with the stress? We understand that people have different coping mechanisms. Let us try to understand what is coping. Coping is a protective mechanism each and every individual finds him or herself in, or uses these mechanisms to challenge the strength and severity of the stressor. So it is the ability to control emotions. For example, I will give you an example. If somebody has failed in the examination, it's a major stressor. Some people may say that, oh, I failed as a result of the conspiracy by others. Some others will say that, oh, I failed because I didn't prepare. That's a realistic explanation. And some people will say that I failed because of the circumstances. I could not reach the examination hall. My internet was not working for online exams, etc. These are the explanations for the failure or the poor performance against the stressor. But coping demands that coping has two ways initially, given by Lazarus and Folkman. These two ways are, one says that I will cope up with my stressor with one way, and another says that another way. Two ways, like emotion focused coping and problem focused coping. A person will say that I will focus the problem has occurred, now I have failed, now what to do? I shouldn't challenge, I shouldn't create more problems for myself. I will just cope up this mechanism. I will prepare hard, I will prepare good notes or good examination preparation strategies, and next time I will get good grades. But instead, a second person will do second form of coping, that is emotion focused coping. That person will say that, oh, I'm failing, it is because that I never passed. God is unfair to me. My parents are unfair to me. My friends have not provided me the support. My teachers has never given me the proper instruction. So what should I do? I should end up my life. Some people have the reaction as I should end up my life. Some will say that I will consume something so that this problem of thinking about the failure will not haunt me. This problem will, snowball, new more problems coming. So this is in adaptive form of coping, and the former was the previous one which I discussed, that is problem focused coping is the appropriate way of coping. So this is coping. Ability to think rationally, ability to solve problems, and it is also culturally defined how you, face problems, you cope with the problems. Then resilience, the ability to bounce back. That is very significant in our lives. That is, do we have the proper ability to bounce back when something odd has happened, when something challenging has happened to us? Do we have the internal mechanisms to counter it? If at all we don't have the mechanisms to counter it, can we sustain this onslaught? The positive capacity to cope with stress is the resilience. Do we have the capacity? Are we raised up in such a way that we tend to be hardy? We are hard enough to to face this problem, and do we have the resources to challenge the strength of this problem, severity of the problem, and come out of it? Some people come out of it, some go astray, some go away, and they drift away and away and away, and one day comes that they are the failures in the society. Some people may end up their life, some may be in non-relevant at all, who are living and sustaining on some doses of drugs. So this is the pathetic state which we go into as a result of not giving the proper attention to raising our capacities for resilience. This can come in through the child rearing practices as well as through these kinds of training workshops, how resilience can be built. Okay, then comes adaptive form of coping. We have the adaptive form that is contributes to the resolution of the stress response. Resolution depends that how we counter the stress. That is important. Maladaptive coping is strategies that cause further problems, as I said. Active coping is actively seeking resolution to the stress. Then promote adaptive coping. For promotion of adaptive coping, we need realistic expectations, set realistic goals, planning, anticipate problems, have a backup plan, reframing, change the way you look at things, relaxation. And these are all, these are all previous, these are all different from the previous ones, where we call the tips for stress management. So important thing which I have given a different color here to emphasize is refrain from self-itis. Means that a lot of people have, now we have internet addiction disorder, and self-itis are the clinically approved disorder in 2014 onwards. In 2014, incorporated in DSM, that is the rule book or manual book, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. I included this because self-itis has a very threatening consequences nowadays. Some people, as a result of taking a selfie, they end up their lives on climbing on the walls or somewhere. So this is also this is a refrain from self-itis is adaptive coping. Learn relaxation techniques. Take time out for leisure. Relaxation is a full form, a field of this coping in psychology, which I will talk and I will demonstrate certain things in relaxation also. Discuss the problem, utilize existing social supports to solve the problems. Then in promoting adaptive coping, we can also go for training, prepare for stressful events, training. Then nutrition, eat healthy, avoid skipping meals. Eat healthy, avoid skipping meals. Then exercise, as I said earlier. Then sleep, adequate sleep in order to avoid fatigue. In avoid maladaptive coping includes blurring of boundaries. We have to blur the boundaries, avoid withdrawal, or avoid, or we have to avoid what? Withdrawal. Sometimes we withdraw from the situation. Confrontation is good mechanism. But when your life is at stake, withdrawal is the best thing. Avoidance is the best thing. Negative attitudes. We have to turn these negative attitudes into the in adaptive form by learning the positive attitudes. These can be trained by well-devised training well-structured and well-devised training programs. Then we have anger outbursts. We have anger management programs nowadays. Then avoidance of alcohol and drugs, drug de-addiction methods. Then we have hopelessness, avoidance of hopelessness and promotion of positive psychological constructs like optimism, religious healing, then hope, then these positive psychological constructs like as I said, hope, resilience. This is the well-developed area now with Martin Seligman. You can search on the web also Martin Seligman, and you will get many positive psychological constructs and how they help in adaptation, in living the productive lives. Then we have avoidance of negative self-talk. This is important to emphasize. Avoiding negative self-talk is important. We sometimes say that I am worthless, I do not have the potential, I have not the resources, I am the unlucky, God has been unfair to me. These are all negative statements. Instead, say that every problem has an opportunity, a challenge. If somebody gives me extra work, my boss gives me extra work, it's okay, I will learn from it. I will manage to what extent I can do, I will do it. And then if I will not be able to do it, I can straightforward tell him that this is beyond my capacity. So this is how positivity builds up. Then comes resentment, avoidance of resentment. Then violence, avoidance of violence. These are, adaptive coping or avoiding. Then promotion of resilience, as I said in the previous slide that resilience is very important. Resilience kaise aayega? How do we get resilient day by day by way of adapting certain things? Role models should be positive. We should look towards the positive people. We should not look towards the negative people. That we call modeling in psychology. We should not look towards those who are aggressive models on social media or on in television, movies, and other online these TV programs, etc., where models are depicting those they are having these moss stitches, which are curled moss stitches, and that macho man, and etc. This will give rise to aggression, violence, etc. Instead, we should follow the proper models who are balanced personalities, who have been good in sports, good in academics, good in personal relationships, lived their productive lives. So these are the models. Modeling has a very significant impact in our day-to-day lives. Then comes optimism. As I said, optimism. Be optimistic about the things. When I am asked by people about the
Navshad sir, if you are there, we lost your audio.
Sir, we cannot hear you.
Yeah, we actually lost the audio of the speaker. So there is some internet connectivity issue. I'm trying to get in touch with the speaker. Yeah, so you're back.
okay.
Please resume. Thank you.
Well, let us continue. These internet, problems do occur in this part of northern part of Kashmir. So I'm saying that we should add humor to our lives. That is that we should give some different, uh, to avoid boredom. We should give some different things to different rewards to ourselves by way of in conversation. Add humor, not at the cost of humiliating other people, but humor should be positive humor. As you have seen, models of humor are those who have, without hurting anyone, they have been so much humorous. Mirza Ghalib is one of them. You would have heard about them, and there are many other examples where humor has played very significant role. Even I have some certain examples where we go for marital counseling, in which couples are to be treated, and then they are at the verge of destruction or at the verge of the termination of their relationships. A little amount of humor has paid. In therapeutics, we also use this humor sometimes. Then moral compass, raise your moral compass, raise your morality, which will add to your the positivity in your life. Then most significant thing is religion and spirituality adds flavor to our lives. It should be completely followed. It should not be abundant at all. Religiosity is a buffer against the problems of the world. Then social support, which is a very significant thing, social support, which gives us what we call the psychological immunity, the inoculation to stand the onslaught. That is important. Then we have optimism, positive beliefs associated with their well-being, cognitive reframing. Reframing of the cognitive means cognition. Reframing means the way you are you just restructure your computer by giving it a new program. Do you understand? So this is how restructuring can take place in the mind. We call it cognitive restructuring. It's a method and technique in CBT, that's cognitive behavior therapy. Then positive thinking. Positive thinking can be enhanced by way of giving positive direction to your I'll give you an example. A statement is that COVID third wave is coming. This is a statement. How these statements have importance in our lives. A person will say that, oh, is it really coming? Let it come. We are all prepared for it with the way of vaccination and other things. And we have now learned how to be protective by wearing masks and by avoiding distance, avoiding these gatherings and keeping distance, etc. Another person will say, is it really coming? Oh my God, what should I do? What should I do? My family, me, my elder parents at home. This is negative form of worry. Positive form of worry is that, positive form of coping is that you raise your optimistic style, that you said that we are more prepared this time for the third wave than we were in the second or the first waves. So this is how you should reframe your cognitions, reframe your thinkings. You should refute negative talks or negative thinking. Believe in meaningful cause. It is important to acknowledge relevant negative factors. Relevant negative factors. Now, we will move on to another one, that is humor, highly effective. I will quote you here, matchwork coping mechanism. Another of the soul's weapons for the fight for self-preservation. It's well known that humor, more than anything else in the human makeup, can provide an aloofness and the ability to rise above any situation, even for a few seconds. Viktor Frankl, he was the psychologist who survived the Nazi concentration camp in Germany, and he was about to be shot at. The blank, this gun was pointed at his chest, and he was about to be shot. Then an order came that people should be let go. These Jews should be let go, and he was the survivor of that camp. He said that he came with positivity. He said that life is all about enjoying. Life is all about living to the fullest by way of taking care of others, being altruistic, taking your ambitions, living your ambitions. So with humor and with happiness, you can counter any form of unhappiness or any form of challenging circumstance. So moral compass, conduct a moral inventory. Look not for any greater harm than this, destroying the trustworthy, self-respecting, well-behaved man within you. So find your internal man who is trustworthy, self-respecting, and well-behaved. This has been said by Epictetus. Second very important quote. Maintain your integrity between stimulus and response. Very significant thing said by Viktor Frankl is there is a space in between stimulus and response, and it is that space in our is the power to choose our response. If somebody humiliates you, you have the space to decide what to do. Stimulus and response. Don't be reactive, be responsive. Respond rather than react. So you have the choice to decide what type of a response you will do. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Important, very important, if you will pay heed to it. Altruism, very significant thing in living our lives stress-free and being the productive members of society, is that help. There are examples in COVID also that people have helped a lot by way of not just financial support, by way of manual support, by way of physical support, buying ventilators and providing ventilators amidst greater risk of catching COVID. Why is it? Altruism and this helping behavior, pro-social behavior, we call it in psychology. It helps. It gives us unselfish regarding the welfare of others. We are not selfish in that sense. If we would have been selfish, we would have not helped. Believe in a meaningful cause. Mutual cooperation activates of the brain's reward center. Then very important thing which I will discuss, that is religion and spirituality in addition to signature strengths. Religion and spirituality is associated with psychological and physical well-being. Well-being is determined by the religiosity and spirituality. Pursue these things also. Guards against despair. It guards against the despair. Mayusi se bachata hai. Provides social support, provides positive role models, and provides a positive mission also. And social support. Social support has a profound effect on our life expectancy. As I said, how important it is to have good ones who feel for us, who are there, stand with us. These people are in the ups and downs, in the good and bad, everywhere. These are with us. Then patients have better outcomes with strong social support. You would have witnessed it in COVID. So this is the best example. Isolation and poor social support are associated with a poor stress response. Few hardy individuals got it alone. बहुत ही कम अकेले में ही मुसीबतों को झेलते हैं. This is an important thing to understand. Signature strengths, as I said, that we have all some special qualities and talents which we all possess. We have to recognize these skills and talents that become our signature strengths. Inventory strengths, use your strengths and talents, decide what works, actively cope, apply concepts to enable active coping. These are the things which you have to explore, which will help Practical tips, everybody knows, but we will move on to very important, that is psychological way of modern way of this stress response. In practical terminology, I'll read it out very fast so that you will understand it. Stress is a part of everyday life. It is inevitable. We have to. Nobody can help it. It can promote growth and competency. Unrelenting or overwhelming, it can cause adverse effects. As I said, stress is positive. Overwhelming stress is negative. It is to be managed. Adaptive coping enhances resilience. Maladaptive coping causes additional problems. Enhanced coping increases resilience while diminishing the adverse effects of stress, thus promoting health. Set realistic expectations. Exercise regularly. Eat healthy. Get adequate sleep. Maintain a work-leisure balance. Positive reframing and optimism. Enhance social support. Then what is now I'm turning to is modern way of stress management, which is first part of it was a psychological way of dealing with stress, raising your standards of resilience, being positive in our coping, positive attitude, other things. Now we have physiological, how psychological and mind and body are connected. Now, how do we have to, manage this stress in the context of the modern competitions, modern ways of challenges which we are experiencing nowadays? You know what? The biggest problem in the present context is online system, which has now become, you all might be, even I sometimes feel these fatigued shoulders, these muscles, triceps, which are fatigued enough, and I want that as kind of relaxation I should do. But I feel time, I have this understanding, so I do these relaxation techniques. What are those? First is relaxation is a temporary deliberate withdrawal from everything, everyday activity that aims to moderate the functions of the sympathetic nervous system, which is usually activated under stress. When relaxed, individuals exhibit normal blood pressure, decreases in oxygen consumption, and respiratory rate, heart rate, and muscle tension. So this will help you. The health indicators will get, good health indicators. Then here's a clip. You can say there's a link on it. I will share the presentation with you. In fact, I will give you another clip which will help you. I will, in fact, run a clip which will help you for relaxation. Ready for the clip which will help you? It's a bigger clip. Are you
Sure,
ready
sir,
for
sure.
it? Okay. My screen is shared with you.
Begin by allowing your body to get more comfortable.
Kindly confirm. Is it visible, please? Can
Yes,
you
sir,
confirm?
absolutely fine. Visible.
Okay.
Wherever you are right now, take some full, slow breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. Allow any distracting thoughts to come and go as if you're watching them floating down a stream. And guide your attention back to your slow and easy breathing. When you're ready, breathe in and make a tight fist with your right hand. Hold and focus on what that tension feels like to you. Now, breathe out and release all the tension in the fist. Let your hand become nice and loose. Again, make a tight fist with the right hand and hold it. Then, let the tension and the hand relax fully. Focus on what your hand feels like to you when it is relaxed. Next, slowly breathe in and bring your right forearm up to your shoulder and tighten your upper arm. Hold. Now, breathe out and release. Again, make a muscle with your right arm. Hold and focus on what the tension feels like in your upper arm. Now, breathe out slowly and relax your arm. Breathe in, and now make a tight fist with your left hand. Hold the tension. Exhale and release. Let the tightness and discomfort flow all the way out of your hand. Again, make a tight fist with your left hand and hold. Exhale and release. Breathe in again and bring the left forearm up to your shoulder to make a muscle. Hold and focus on the tension in your arm. Now, take a long breath in and raise your eyebrows as high as they will go. Hold. Exhale and release, letting relaxation smooth across your forehead. Breathe in again and raise your eyebrows as high as they will go. Hold. Release and breathe out slowly. And squeeze your eyes closed. Hold. Exhale and release the tension. Now, slowly open your mouth wide and hold it there. Exhale and release. Notice what that feels like to you. And breathe out slowly. Next, slowly and carefully pull your head back as though you are looking up at the ceiling. Hold. Exhale and slowly return your head to whatever position is most comfortable to you. Study what that relaxation feels like to you. Again, breathe in and pull your head back slowly. Inhale and push your shoulders up towards your ears. Hold them there for a moment. Exhale and release. Shoulders up. Now, breathe in and push your shoulder blades back, trying to almost touch them together. Hold that tension. Now, exhale, letting your shoulders and chest relax all at once. Neck and chest push out. Exhale and release. Next, tighten your thighs so that you're pushing yourself up a bit out of your chair and hold. Exhale and release. taking note of what it feels like in your upper legs. Right foot up toward your shin, stretching your calf muscle. Hold the tension. Exhale and release. And hold that tension. Exhale and release. Exhale and release. And study what that feels like. Exhale and release. Again, curl the toes of your left foot downwards and hold exercise. Continue to take some slow, easy breaths. For the next few moments, just notice what your body feels like and enjoy the success you've had in being able to relax your body. Keep that feeling with you throughout the day and remember how good it can feel to be relaxed in your body. Whenever you're ready.
Hope you would have got the different steps of this relaxation training. Kindly confirm. Hello?
Actually, so participants are messaging you in chat section.
Okay, basically I have shared the screen and yes, I can see now. Right. Well, this is called as progressive muscular relaxation training. It has been given by Edmund Jacobson. You can go to the Google and you can, in fact, download the videos from the YouTube to learn it more, to train yourself more. Now we will discuss it. Useful relaxation techniques or describes a range of methods through which an individual can facilitate physical and psychological well-being, divided into two categories: physical or somatic relaxation, and then second is mental or cognitive relaxation. In physical or somatic relaxation, we have progressive muscular relaxation that you witness it right now, and you have applied relaxation technique, which I'll discuss, and then breath control techniques. In mental, these first let us discuss the breath control techniques. We have correct breathing is a fundamental to achieving a relaxed response or relaxed state of our well-being. Then stimulation of systematic nervous system when anxious. It stimulates the sympathetic nervous system when we are anxious. It leads to the breaths that are short, shallow, and irregular. Stimulation of the parasympathetic nervous system, calm and confident, is associated with smooth, deep, and rhythmic breaths. In the rhythmic fashion, you will breathe. Slow breathing has stress-relieving properties and is one of the easiest yet most effective ways to control stress, anxiety, and muscle tension. Then we have centering, diaphragmatic breathing, and ratio breathing. A few of these will be discussed. In fact, all of them will be discussed in a very smaller details. Centering, breath control techniques. One is centering, deals with focusing one's attention on the task and at hand. Whatever task you are doing, breath control helps you to center your concentration on that attention. Diaphragmatic breathing, it is the breathing which you diaphragmatic, as the name itself indicates, it emphasizes the downward expansion of the chest cavity that causes the abdomen to swell. Like, for example, I'll give you a little demonstration of it. It is nostrils where from you will breathe in, and you are sitting in the position which you witnessed in the clip. It is like this. Now you have inhaled the breath, and it has moved, extended, it has expanded your these lungs, and it has moved on to your lower abdomen, and it's called the diaphragmatic breathing. So it causes the abdomen to swell. That is the condition. Then ratio breathing, a deep breathing technique with a focus on the number of inhalants compared to exhalations. For example, 4 inhalations to 7 exhalations. Then individual counts the ratio of the breaths. That's why it's called the ratio breathing. Mental relaxation technique focuses typically or specifically on the mind rather than the body. How? The belief is that a relaxed mind will in turn relax the body. Mind body, this debate has been there in years together, in centuries together, that if your mind is in the proper condition, your body will reflect the positivity, the stability. And that is the main this premise on which this mental relaxation technique rests. Most commonly used mental relaxation techniques in particularly in supports we use in support in generally, but in most of the cases we use it in the general ways also. That is mindfulness, autogenic training, transcendental meditation. It is related to transcendental meditation is related to the Buddhist vipassana, and autogenic training and mindfulness are the outcomes of the ancient these Vedic kinds of these ancient Vedic practices, which have been reflected, researched upon in the West, and have been given in the refurbished form. So, what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is very important to understand. Mindfulness means that you focus your attention in a very calm and quiet manner to whatever you do. It may be any activity on the laptop or desktop. It may be any activity in this in the society, in the social context. It may be any activity in the class or wherever. Rather, we have mindful walking, mindful eating, mindful sleeping. Mindfulness means that giving concentration and sustained attention to a particular thing at hand, and that attention should determine your clarity and focus of your attention. That is a mental state resulting from voluntary focusing one's attention to one's present experiences in its sensorial, mental, cognitive, and emotional aspects in a non-judgmental way. Mindfulness uses breathing methods, guided imagery, and other practices to relax the body and mind to help reduce stress. It encourages the individual to engage in non-judgmental awareness of their internal experiences occurring at each moment, such as bodily sensations, cognitions, and emotions, and to environmental stimuli, such as sights and sounds. For further, you can also talk about mindfulness on, you can Google it. So there I have given you a picture. If you remember, I talked about it in the last part of the presentation. I will explain social support. Whenever social support, what is the components of social support? It is the parents, friends, teachers, employers, subordinates, spouses, etc. If at all you feel down, you feel blue, you feel you are not in a proper condition, stress has overwhelmingly challenged you. Now what to do? You have either emotion focused coping or problem focused coping. But mind it that you have social support. Turn to your social support. That is why I always recommend to my students, the clients, and other people, whosoever comes in contact and asks about stress management, I always tell them that whenever you are stressed, go to your near ones, significant others. These significant others can be parents, friends, teachers, employers, subordinates, spouses. Currently, in today's world, we have a lot of relationship problems. Turn to the significant nears. That will help you in generating an ample amount of social support, which will help you in stress-free life and a balanced life. Now, breaths, focus meditation. At times, you would be asking that why social support was discussed in between mindfulness and breath meditation. Actually, this is the structuring of the presentation in a way. Psychologists do certain things, psychology students do different things at times in order to catch the attention. Sometimes people, it is hardly possible to give attention for more than 20 minutes. For 5 minutes, you can give concentrated attention. For 20 minutes, it is hardly possible. And after 20 minutes, it's all impossible to give attention. But catching the attention, that is the mixture of many things have to be done in order to catch the attention of the participants, which is very significant because it's not in your domain. It is a completely different domain. Yet it's very imperative in your life how to counter this stress mechanism. Now, breaths, focus meditation. It trains the mind to settle, let go of mental clutter, and focus in the present moment. It connects mind with body. This focus meditation or mindfulness, including breaths, will connect you. Find a comfortable position, either lying down on your back. You saw in the clip, in a chair or a cushion on the floor. Spine should be erect like this. It should be like this. So at times when you are sitting for extended periods of time on the chairs, you should always maintain that spine should be erect. Scan through the body and release unnecessary tensions. You have a psychological scan which we call body scan, not through CT scan or computer tomographies or positron emission tomography or other scans which we use in the radio diagnostic field. But we have a body scan. Your mind will scan your entire body, starting from your head, your hairs, till downwards to each and every bit of your body organ of your body. You scan it and see how it is functioning in the mental makeup, or bring attention to the body with an attitude of friendly curiosity. What should I see? Let me for a while see how my heart breathes. Quiet while you are in this calm position, and you focus on your heart, how it beats. It will give you a satisfactory this feel and experience. Then tune into the sensations of your body, breathing, and focus your attention on the feels of the breath coming in and out. Mostly you focus on the breaths. When your mind wanders, notice and gently guide attention back to the breaths over and over again. Practice for 50-30 minutes daily for lasting positive results. Then you connect his body connect his mind with the body, increases ability to track body sensations, grounds attention in the present moment, increases insight into changing nature of sensation, trains mind to tolerate sensation with a greater equanimity. I mean, in the steps you can see that bring curious, friendly attention to the sensations in your feet. Feel versus think. Feeling versus think is to be understood. You have to feel rather than think. Gradually move your way up the body, feeling the ankles, lower legs, knees, upper legs. Then feel sensations in the buttocks, the lower back, middle back, and upper back. Notice sensations in the pelvis, abdomen, and chest. Then sense the fingers, hands, wrists, forearms, elbows, upper arms, etc. Then feel sensations in the shoulders. Notice any tension without judging it or trying to change it. Notice sensations in the neck, throat, jaw, and mouth. Sense the nose, eyes, forehead, ears, and head. Then you have feel sensations in the whole body at once, the whole body as one universe of sensation. Regular practice. Create mindful pauses throughout your day. This thing I want to emphasize upon. Regular practice. While you are practicing regularly for mindfulness or relaxation, you should mind it that create regular mindful pauses that will help you in redirecting your attention to what is significant, what is not, and it will help you to sustain your attention, sustain your interest and motivation also. Take 1 to 5 minutes to practice slowing down, feeling the body, breathing more fully, letting go of the thoughts, and returning to the present moment. Returning to the present moment with gratitude and acceptance. Set aside 5 to 30 minutes of the day for meditation, yoga, art, or another mindful activity you enjoy. Surround yourself with support. Get books, audio, phone apps to learn more and keep you motivated in the practice. Take a mind-body class. Do a meditation retreat. These are the things. You can search it on, because everything, if we will start discussing, it may go beyond the allotted time. But you can ask in the discussion. Relaxation response is a physical state of deep rest that changes the physical and emotional responses to stress, and the opposite of the fight or flight response. It gives certain things, like it relaxes body, it releases endorphins, relaxes muscles, increases circulation, it elevates oxygen, it absorbs nutrients, it influences every cell of the body. It builds enzymes required for digestion and other purposes, regulates hormones, which will ultimately regulate your blood sugar level and other things. And it will develop into what you call the proper functioning of the body, psychophysiological functioning. Otherwise, you will feel what we call somatoform disorders or psychophysiological disorders. It releases toxins. It gives healthy cell growth. That cells are regenerating and degenerating is the continuous process of cell development. It gives nourishment to the cells. It promotes healing. It relaxes the body, and this is the relaxation response, what it does to your body. There are other things like we have mindfulness based stress reduction and other things in stress response. In autogenic training we have many exposure therapies and other things. We have many clinical ways, but here it is imperative to emphasize that you are novices in the field of stress management. You need generic kind of these strategies, not the domain specific or technical. I hope I'm able to translate. These are the resources which I have consulted while making this presentation, and this is the feedback for. This is my email ID. You can give me feedback if at all you will find time, and giving feedback will help every teacher or every professional in the field. Thank you for patient hearing.